Hi, I'm Femi OK and you're in the stream. Today, beef politics in India. Last week, a Muslim man was murdered after being accused of slaughtering and then eating a cow. Why? Well, because in the Hindu majority population in India, cows are considered to be sacred, so there's clearly an awful lot to be talking about. Malika Bilal, our digital producer, will kick us off. What do you have, Malika?
There's so much to talk about. And of course, Femi, as you know, this is a story the stream has covered closely for a while now.
Sure.
And every time we look around, there's a new trending hashtag out of India on this. Now, on one side, you have people blaming the country's ruling BJP for creating a divisive atmosphere that they say led to the murder in the town of Dadri. And they're using hashtags like BJP motivated Dadri lynch and Save Nation from BJP. Now, on the flip side, there's media wants riots and Dadri journalism, and those hashtags accuse the media of stoking tensions through what some see as biased reporting. Now, as always, we want to hear from you at home. You can tweet us your take with hashtag AJStream.
So the Dadri beef murder has reignited a very popular conversation this year about the politics of meat. Tightened beef laws and meat bans in the name of religious sensitivity have angered many activists who say the bans are part of a Hindu nationalist agenda pushed by Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Critics also argue India has become less democratic and tolerant of minorities under his leadership. But Modi's supporters downplay concerns and accuse activists and the media of blowing things out of proportion. They add that these are isolated incidents of lawlessness and say religious tensions are nothing new. So, is India's diverse and secular identity under threat, or is the government protecting the religious sensitivities of the majority? To help us talk about this, we're joined in New Delhi by Sudhanshu Trivedi, a national spokesman for the ruling BJP, Muhammad Ali, a journalist for the Hindu newspaper. He's been covering the Dadri murder. In Kolkata, we're joined by Sandeep Roy, the senior editor of firstpost.com, and in the United States, Sananda Vashisht, a blogger and the founder of myInd.net, joins us from Houston. So good to have you all here. Sandeep, if you look through India's states, 23 out of 29, and most of the states have some kind of meat regulations, rules, laws. So this is nothing new. It's not like the BJP suddenly came up with all of these laws. So why is there so much commotion right now? Why is this such a big topic?
Of course, I mean, I think, and in fact, the Congress party has been going to town trying to claim credit, saying it actually formulated a lot of these beef bans. And a lot of the bans, you have to remember, Femi, vary from state to state. So in some states, it's cow slaughter totally is prohibited. In some states, cows slaughter is prohibited, but bulls and bullocks are okay. In some states, you need to get a fit for slaughter certificate. In some states, you don't need that. So it's almost like you need some kind of a mobile phone app to tell you what is permitted in what state and not. But the reason, of course, it is true that the BJP, which is a party which has a perception of being more Hindu, a Hindu majority, a Hindu nationalist party, is in power at the center. So more attention is being given to the beef bans that are happening currently under its watch. Whereas the previous party, the Congress, was often perceived to be as pandering to minorities like Muslims for votes. And so it came under scrutiny more when it was doing things like passing laws around divorce and Muslim women. So then those things came under greater scrutiny. So it is true, the BJP will be held to a certain higher standard because they have more to disprove when it comes to these beef bans to show that in fact these things that are happening are an aberration and that there is not a greater climate of intolerance that is prevailing in the country. They have to prove it, and unfortunately, the Prime Minister, Mr. Narendra Modi, who tweets about everything under the sun, is a social media pioneer in this country, acknowledged as such by Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook, doesn't say a word about the beef ban. President Obama speaks out about a school shooting in, say, Oregon, even though nobody's accusing him of being involved, with the gun ban or anything. He speaks out because as a leader, he feels it is necessary to use his bully pulpit
to
Sandeep.
talk to the nation about the issue driving the country.
Yeah.
Mr. Modi does
I would
not.
like to jump in here.
Sananda, go ahead.
Yeah, did you see, Femi, how quickly Sandeep went from the incident to Narendra Modi? That is the problem here. The problem here is not the incident, unfortunate incident that happened, that has saddened us, that has made us really question ourselves, the whole thing, you know. But it took him exactly half a minute to get to Narendra Modi, and that's the problem. The problem here is that no one is interested in finding out what happened there. No one is interested in finding out what government this happened under. This incident happened in the state of Uttar Pradesh, which, as most of our readers may or may not know, is under a party called Samajwadi Party. It's a regional party.
But Sananda,
law and order is
but Indians haven't been spending. Sananda, Indians haven't been spending the entire year talking about one incident. There was a festival for the Jain community.
There was an incident before this. Huge outrage was raised.
And there have been other meat bans and other beef bans this year. So we're not talking about one tragic story.
I would like to say something.
Let me just say, there was this huge outrage. I don't know, Femi, if you did a show about that or not. All Christians were supposed to pack their bags and leave the country. They never did because there was no, no persecution at all. But there was this huge hue and cry raised about Christians are being persecuted. Turned out, when finally the investigation was done, these were localized incidents. These were sad incidents, but localized incidents which BJP had nothing to do.
So they're all localized incidents, Sananda, all of them,
yes,
for a whole year. Wow.
No.
All right, hold on.
I would like to say something.
Yeah, go ahead. And then Malika is waiting patiently because you're our guest. Go ahead.
Yes. Had said that it is shameful to discuss in 2015. Yes, I agree. That some of your viewers may not be aware about the fact that all these beef bans are prevailing in most of the Indian states since 1950s, from the time of Jawaharlal Nehru. 24 out of the 29 states are having either total ban or the partial ban. So what is the use of discussing in 2015? This is the issue. Second thing, the question is being asked, why Narendra Modi is not speaking on this? You know the fact. In the recent Dadri incidents, as Sunanda was saying, the state of Uttar Pradesh is governed by Samajwadi Party, which is known for a very staunch, hardliner, pro-Muslim stand. But when the Union Home Ministry has sought the report which they have submitted has no mention of beef and communal angle. Again, I am repeating. The report submitted by the state government on Dadri incidents has no mention on beef and communal angle. So in the eyes of state government, which is known for a very strong hardliner supporter of the Muslim minority, is saying technically it was a violent incident having nothing to do with
the meat. Interesting. Hold tight, everybody. Just give me a moment. Everybody can come in. But first, Malika Bilal is going to come in. Go ahead.
Well, I actually want to pick up on Sudhanshu, your first point. You said, why are we discussing this in 2015? We had community members who are asking the same thing. This is one person who says, I don't see how prohibiting cow slaughter, which has been in place for a long time, how that stops minority religious freedom. And so, Mohammed, I'm going to pose that question to you with these tweets. This is Tanvi, and she writes in India, the religious and the political have always been entwined, and this meat ban debate is evidence of that. And she goes on to say, it's important to be sensitive to all religious groups, but I feel that the
before anyone jumps in, I do want to say that
you got to let me at least finish
with
the tweet there. So she goes on to say, I feel that the beef ban goes one too many steps beyond that. So there are people within India, within the community, who think the beef ban, specifically the one in Mumbai that we saw in September, crossed that line. So I want to give this to Mohammed. I hear you, but I want to give this one to Mohammed.
I think
September, you know the fact.
I think the issue is not here beef ban. I think the issue is when beef is used is politicized and used as an instrument to push and target a particular community. Look, beef, not only Muslims eat. It's a question not about beef. It's a question about who eats beef. If a Muslim eats beef, why is he targeted? Beef is eaten also by Dalits. Have you ever heard Dalits being lynched ever for eating beef? You know, there was this festival, beef eating festival in Hyderabad in 2012. There was no lynching thing happening. Why the Muslim comes issue it
But
a Muslim
Mohammed,
question
do
comes
Muslims
on
get
issue
Mohammed,
B.
lynched
it has
for
been
eating?
already
Mohammed,
clarified.
So guess, I love the fact that you all want to talk at the same time. Unfortunately, I can only hear you one at a time. Sanandra, go ahead, Sanandra, and then Sudhanshu. Sanandra, you go
Do
first.
Muslims get lynched for eating beef in the city of Delhi in a 5-star hotel in Delhi? No. And you also have to understand that beef in India does not
We're talking
mean
about
cow
India,
meat.
Sunanda. We're talking about India. Five-star hotel is not India. 5-star hotel
It is
of
not.
course
It
a
is
part
not.
of
That is what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
What
It's
I'm
a
saying
law
is
and order situation.
It's a trend. We are talking about a trend. We are talking about a trend. We are not talking about law. We are not talking about eating beef. We are talking about why a particular section is targeted for eating beef. Why, when a beef is used as an instrument of politics to push, target, and isolate, and further marginalize and ghettoize a
But do
particular
you
community.
accept that there are cow slaughter laws in place?
I think we've covered that. So let's move along that because you all know that. You all know that there are cow slaughter laws in
Cow
place.
slaughter laws in place for a long time.
Sudhanshu was next, and then we go to Sandeep, only because it's fair that way. Sudhanshu, what did you want to say?
Mohammed has raised a very valid question. When the politicization on beef starts, the problem starts from that point. But anybody knows from when the politicization on beef started? Even during the Mughal rule in India, the beef ban or the cow slaughter was only allowed in restricted manner. Even Babur, in his will written to Humayun, you can verify, on 11th of January 1529
right. So we're going way back in history. I'm going to bring us way up to date. Sandeep, where do you want to take us next?
No. I want to say that even at that time, he accepted that in this country, if you want to rule the hearts of the people,
right? Okay. Point taken, Sudhanshu. I take your point.
That continued even from centuries.
We don't live
but
in,
what
happened
in the post-independence India?
Just have a time out for a moment. I love what you're saying. I can't hear a single word of anything that anyone is saying. So just give me a little bit of a moment so I can hear these gems that you're sharing with us. Sandeep, where are you taking us next?
On Indian television, we like to talk over each other so that nobody gets
it.
I know. I feel like I'm on NDTV right now.
But what I was going to say, Femi, is that I appreciate Mr. Trivedi explaining that the Prime Minister is not talking about this because the state of Uttar Pradesh is ruled by another party, which has not mentioned beef in its report. It has mentioned, instead of beef, the flesh of a prohibited animal. So beef has become like the Voldemort of Indian politics right now, the flesh that cannot even be named. And
I want to come in, Femi.
While the Prime Minister has not spoken out about it, his colleagues have not been so shy. The Culture Minister, Mr. Mahesh Sharma, is telling us that this is just an accident, an aberration. No one threw stones at the neighboring homes of Muslims or molested the daughter in that house. So, we can't give this incident a communal color.
Sandeep, cow slaughter is banned in Uttar Pradesh.
I didn't interrupt you when you were talking, okay?
Okay,
so let me finish. And Mr. Tarun Vijay, who is the member of the national executive of the BJP, has written an editorial where he said that this thing is absolutely wrong because it affects the development mission of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the national goal.
All right, Sandeep, I hear the points. I hear the points you're making. Let me just push on because I want to get the community in as well. I hear where you're going, Sananda. I hear where you're going as well. Just give me give me a moment.
Femi, a 30-second rebuttal.
Yeah, no, I don't want the 30-second rebuttal quite yet because I need the 30-second Malika Bilal first. Malika.
And I'm sure we'll hear your rebuttal and your answer to this because this is someone who's agreeing with what Sandeep just said. This is Ayaz on Twitter. He says incidents like the Dadri murder are encouraged by core leadership of the BJP. There's also a video comment. This is from a journalist in India, and he talks about it. What he says was Prime Minister Modi's role in promoting this kind of Hindu nationalist agenda. So I want you to have a listen to his thoughts.
That in the 2014 general election, where something which he called the pink revolution, an insidious plan by the Congress government to sell off cows to foreigners, was a key part of his campaign. I know that sounds ridiculous, but this sort of religious bogey gained some traction in the heartland of India, and he won handsomely from that. And not only that, even before that, he's raised all these sort of religious examples. I mean, he's raised examples of a medieval ruler starting wars over cows, and he thought it was a grand example to follow. So, it's sort of surprising Mr. Modi's silent over this, because he's helped create this poison, he's helped create this atmosphere, and he really has nothing more to say now.
So Sunanda, he says the Prime Minister helped create this atmosphere. Is that a stretch? Is that accurate?
It's an absolute stretch, and it's a lie. I do not think he helped create this environment. Did Narendra Modi get the law of cow slaughter in place? No. Did Narendra Modi start anything about this reverence of cows for Hindus? No. So at some point, if the cow slaughter, there are two issues to it. There is a legal issue and there is a law and order issue. The legal issue, first of all, is that cow slaughter is banned in 24 out of 29 states in India. So anytime this law is not followed, then there is a problem. So what do? You can do in a liberal democracy like India, there are two things you can do. You can go to the court and you can get the law changed. And my friends here in the panel and everybody who is writing million op-eds, they can go to the court, or this India is a representative democracy, if they feel that the Indian society has evolved from the point when the cow slaughter laws were made. They can go to the court and they can talk to their representatives and they can get these new laws amended or new laws in place. But till the time there is a cow slaughter law in place, the governments will have to follow the law. The second part of this is law and order. Can there be mob violence accepted? No. Can there be people taking law in their own hands and punishing people for having beef or cow slaughter? No. If anybody has a problem with somebody not following the law on cow slaughter, they have recourse to the law. That is why this Dadri incident was terrible, because this was mob violence at its worst, which I can only condemn. And I like the fact that nobody on this panel till now is even talking about the victims. And that really tells you where everybody is.
Let me just bring in Sunanda. Let me just go back to Mohammed. Yes, I wanted to bring you back in here because you were reporting in Dadri, and I'm really curious for you to share with our audience. What is the atmosphere like? What is the climate there like that a man who was believed to have maybe eaten cow was killed? Can you explain that to us?
Well, if you're talking about environment is certainly charged, and I don't know how to explain a pretty peaceful village, which has completely gone and completely polarized for the sake of beef. How do you explain that? Unless and until there is an ideological and organized campaign to target a particular community. And I'm not blaming any party. I'm not saying it's BJP. I'm not saying it's Samajwadi Party. I think all parties in India are communal, So I'm not please don't pigeonhole me as anti-BJP. All I'm saying is that, you have to look at the ideological campaign because of which this guy died.
Why will you not hold Samajwadi Party responsible for this? Akhilesh Yadav is responsible for the law and order. Why will you not say it openly that it is Samajwadi Party? A week has happened. We don't really know. We don't have one official.
So let me hear, because I would like to hear Sudhanshu from BJP. Go ahead.
Yes. One thing, the question which is raised, that as Sandeepji was saying, that the people are even refraining to name the piece of meat as beef. But they are expecting that the Prime Minister should react, assuming that as if it is a beef. So is it logical? Then what Sunanda is saying is correct. Now today, our party president, Sri Amit Shah, has categorically asked the opposition parties, Sri Lalu Prasad Yadav in Bihar or the Congress party, they should come clear-cut terms whether you are in favor of beef ban or against it. The irony of the situation is, in most of those states which are ruled by them, they are supporting beef ban, but doing politics on these type of incidents, those are unfortunate incidents, as per the state government reports, a law and order incidents, but making it a communal incidence and putting it as a bad patch on the India's image and international.
All right, Sudhanshu, I'm going to move things. Let me just move things along a little bit because we've only got 5 minutes left. Can you imagine just 5 minutes left in this main show? Malika, where did that time go?
It flew by, but Sandeep, I want to go to you with this next one, pushing this on a little bit for what this might mean for India moving forward. This is Asim, and some really harsh words here. He says, I think the fabric of democracy is being destroyed. Another person writes in, also strong words, saying that democracy, secularism in India is under grave threat. Your views on that, Sandeep, and what you think this means for India?
No, I think the Indian democracy is resilient. It's far more resilient than we think, than we op-ed writers and pundits think. It will survive. It has survived many other challenges. It has survived the partition of the subcontinent. But having said that, I think it is extremely dangerous because the beef here is not about the meat. It is a way to designate somebody as the other. And so what is being questioned here is about our tolerance for the other. So the rumor that somebody may have eaten beef led to someone's death, that is reprehensible. And as a democracy, I think we can all agree that some things should be so reprehensible that we just condemn them outright without any ifs or buts. And, you know, the Samajwadi Party is playing politics, the Congress is playing politics, and Mr. Trivedi's own party members, a ruling member of parliament is going to the area and saying, when it comes to the cow is our mother, Sakshi Maharaj, sir, is saying the cow is our mother and we will either die or kill or be killed in defending it. That, sir, is also not helping the situation at all.
Sanandra?
Yes, I do want to say something that on October 5, this sad incident happened on September 28. On October 5, a journalist, you probably don't even know, a journalist called Hemant Yadav was shot dead in Uttar Pradesh. This is third such incident in 4 months. In June, Jagendra Singh, pardon me if I don't know the name right because media hasn't even talked about him. Jagendra Singh, a journalist, was set on fire. As gruesome as this Dadri incident, was set on fire in UP, and it is alleged by his family members that he was set on fire by the police officials.
So the point you're making is what, Sanandra?
Sanjay Pathak was killed just before that. What I am trying to tell you, the fourth journalist, I couldn't even find the name of him. I was trying. So I am telling you that the media is not talking about the correct issues, which is the law and order, deteriorating law and order situation in Uttar Pradesh, and Akhilesh Yadav not being able to do his primary duty, which is protection of his citizens. That is what's happening. By blaming Narendra Modi, we are not going to go anywhere.
All right, and that's the Chief Minister you were just mentioning there. Muhammad Ali, in our closing moments for this part of the show, Sanandra, hold tight, we'll come back to it in the post-show. You covered this Dadri beef murder. Is there a takeaway for India from the way that you saw this story being covered, the people that you interacted with? Is this a milestone in India's history?
Of course, it's a milestone in India's history because suddenly we see somebody being killed. And now we are discussing about, we are not discussing about why this happened. I mean, what I'm trying to say here is that in UP, in North India, across the country, there is an increasing and growing intolerance, to, as Sandeep mentioned, the other. Why? I mean, Dalits eat beef.
So this is important because, Muhammad Ali, in the last 30 seconds of our show, it's important because from Muhammad Ali, I'm just going to finish here, Sudhanshu, and then we'll come back to you in the post-show. Because, finish the sentence.
I'm saying that, Dalits also eat beef. Why are we talking about why a Muslim gets killed for eating beef?
All right.
Can we talk about that?
You're hearing Muhammad Ali there. We also have Sudhanshu Trivedi, Sanandra Vashist, and Sandeep Roy, and you, hopefully, in our post-show at stream.aljazeera.com. Thanks for watching. Hello again, this is the Streams Online Post Show. We're talking about the politics of meat in India. As we were doing our research for this, we found a lot of very funny comments and commentary and memes and songs and parodies and satire. Let me share one with you. I'm not sure, guess if you've seen this before, but if you're a fan of Michael Jackson, you might appreciate this. Have a listen to this. Beep it, ban it.
They told us we can never ever eat steak. To eat a burger, you may have to leave the state. Your criminal record looks like a menu card. Don't eat it. Don't eat it. We better run, we better hide our women. Cause safety of the cow takes more precedent. The words are really clear, but their brains are chili fried. Don't eat it. But you wanna have it bad, don't eat it. Read it, see it, feel it. Don't even think about it.
Sudhanshu, there are people in India who are making fun of what's happening right now in India. Do you see the satire in this? Or are you upset with them saying that, they're basically saying that the India is changing?
Actually, as far as satire is concerned, it is based on the level of knowledge at present. Like I give you one example, those 50, 60 years back, if you would have said that the factory is working in New Delhi and it is melting the ice in Canada, it would have been a satire. Everybody would have said how illogical and irrational you are, but today it is a reality. So what is good, what is bad, let the science come and explain.
But
as far as
satire is also
concerned,
a good way of saying that there is no gagging or censorship in India. I'm glad they showed the satire because
I
that
would
is
like
good.
to say, as far as this incident is concerned, there was one unfortunate death, and the sensitivity of our central government.
But Sudhanshu, the point is that it's bigger than one. Do you not think this is bigger than one instance, Sudhanshu?
After such a huge riot of Muzaffarnagar, the then government has not sought any report.
Sandeep, am I missing the point here? It's not about one tragic incident. Isn't there more of a feeling? Because I didn't invent this conversation.
Femi, you would not do a show about one incident.
No, it would be impossible. You would not turn up for one incident.
We are not talking about one incident.
Exactly.
It's about
one
we are
child
talking about
washed
a
up on a
growing
beach
trend.
wouldn't make you a
Any
show about the
incidents you
Syrian
want to
refugee
quote,
crisis.
you quote, and whether it is being proved in the report of the government or in the report of judiciary.
Sudhanshu, you would not come on a show for one incident.
And then ultimately becomes victim of their self-deception.
Huh.
Mr. Trivedi, if it was just one incident, would there be such an outcry?
For example,
I mean, are Indians such fools?
Ban on Jan
In the
festival,
BJP government, there
Sandeep,
would be.
know
When
from where
BJP
it
government
is
is
in
ruling,
practice,
there would be
it
an
is in
outcry.
practice
Otherwise,
since
it would be an aberration.
1964. And the days were
But let me
extended
tell
by
you,
the previous government in 2005. Why putting blame on BJP government? It is in vogue since
I'm not putting a
64.
blame. I'm putting no blame on
It's
the
not about
BJP
the
government
BJP
for the ban.
government.
I mean,
nobody's blaming
sir, I'm
BJP
going to
government.
categorically say that the
it has
Congress
put a
government
ban on
All right,
Jan
guess.
festival.
have its
For
flaws and
everybody who's
criticism.
watching this who's not Indian is probably holding their head right now going, I have a headache. Guess, give me a pause. I'm having to shout. In my next life, I'm going to be an Indian TV host. Don't make me shout. I am not doing English Indian TV right now. Well, I am. See what you've done to me, guess?
Don't be proud. Don't be proud.
Thank you. I'm getting the real Indian experience now. Malika, what do you have?
Well, in this fight over whether this is just about one incident or a lot bigger than that, there is one person on one side. He says this was nothing but a law and order failure that we saw in the town of Dadri, where a mob killed a beef eater suspect. On the other hand, someone widens this out. This is Tanvi again, and she says with incidents like the Dadri murder and others, those secular ideals that India is founded on seem shakier than ever. So, Sunanda, I'm wondering if you agree with her or completely disagree with her.
I don't think secularism in India, if it means that the state will not interfere in the religion, is under threat. I do not think pluralism of India is under threat. Indian soil is made up of something different. This is not something that will affect that. But I do want to say something. This whole thing that intolerance has increased under Narendra Modi or BJP government is not supported by facts. My colleague at Mind Makers actually did a quick back of the envelope calculation for me, and he wrote that from the year 2003 to 2013, on an average, 250 people died in communal violence in India in 8,473 reported incidents in that decade. This means about 845 incidents on an average in a year. In 2015,
Sanandra, stop reading and just give us a final sentence.
Only
Sanandra,
43 people have died,
make your point.
Which it projected is only 100 people. What I'm trying to say is the same.
Great. Okay,
We are
fantastic.
ashamed about even one death.
All right, so I need a
intolerance is
closing
not
thought. I need a closing thought from everybody. That closing thought is a closing sentence. Sudhanshu, you go first. Go ahead, your closing thought.
India's pluralistic culture is there in their tradition. India is the only country in the world which is having all the 72 sects of Islam, which is having the oldest church of Christianity, which is having Zoroastrians, which has been wiped out from all over the world. And it is because of their ancient traditional culture, which some people try to portray as a Hindu culture, which is main responsible for this comprehensive culture. So there can never be any danger for pluralistic society.
I love that closing thought. Muhammad Ali, your last line for us is what?
I think if the growing trend of intolerance is not stopped by all the by everybody, but as a society, as a country, then we are moving towards a very dangerous times. Even though I still believe that India is very resilient, it will move. We'll move on, but the thing is, at what cost will we move on?
Muhammad Ali, that was great. I love that. Sandeep Roy, your closing thought is what?
I'll quote one of our best-selling authors, Chetan Bhagat, who said, "It isn't about meat, it isn't about religion, it is about using state power to impose your preferences on another group." And wasn't talking about Dadri, he was talking about this larger culture of bands that have become so popular, where anybody who disagrees is asked by members of the ruling party to move to Pakistan. Point is, we don't live in Pakistan.
Sandeep Roy, thank you so much. So guess, how did I do? Will I make an Indian TV host in my next life?
You'll be very good.
I really appreciated your company, the liveliness of the conversation, and it's always great when four people are shouting at the same time. It's like my house. Thank you so much to Sandeep, Sanandra, Mohammed, and also Sudhanshu for being in this conversation today. And thank you for watching. Take care, everybody.